the director of the film is here, Jordan Vogt-Roberts. He would like to say a few words beforehand. Please welcome Jordan.
Hi. It's really great to be back here because I used to live here and I love this theater so much. And Steve and all these guys put on something very, very special. And they're just lovers of cinema like myself. And it's increasingly rare to find people who want to go out of their way to go to the theater. So thank you guys for coming out. This is sort of a special thing that Nick and I honestly kind of did for fun after we shot my movie Kings of Summer. He wanted to tape his one-man show, which he had never really been doing before. He wasn't really a stand-up, and he wasn't doing things like this. And because of his popularity with Parks and Rec and everything, colleges started asking him, "Do you want to speak?" And Nick was like, "I have some things to say." So this sort of stemmed out of that, and I told him if I shot it, I wanted to try and shoot it like a weird sort of 70s concert film with a lot of handheld stuff. And so it's really straightforward, but I think the main takeaway is if you like Nick Offerman, you'll walk away from this loving him even more, which I think is relatively impossible. But Nick, I sent Nick a text message saying, "I'm going to the music box," which he also loves. "Do you have a message for the audience?" So this is his message specifically to you guys. And I'll do a shitty Nick Offerman impression. "I salute you. Everyone please perform oral sex upon someone else tonight. A lover, a stranger, a parent, an employee of the Music Box Theater. Let us paddle our own canoes." That's a euphemism. So that is your private message from Nick Offerman. Thank you guys for bringing me here. Regardless, please enjoy it. And I think maybe I'll be back for a Q&A. If I did my job as the director of this movie, you should have no questions for me, honestly. Like this is a love letter to Nick Offerman. So thank you guys for coming out. Please keep supporting independent cinema and the Music Box and guys like this. So enjoy. We wanted it to feel a little bit bigger than a concert film, and when we got into Sundance, we're like, oh God, whoa, Sundance is playing this? Like, we need to give this a reason. So it's just an idea to break it up and to give it a bit more style and to give it a bit more character and to show Nick do, and like watching Nick do anything and him and Megan do anything is fun. So.
You sort of pared it down to just the list. When was that decision made? I mean, rather than do the whole show, who made the decision?
We did 2 shows in New York. One show was about an hour and a half. The other show, I think he went for 2.5 hours. He was feeling good that night. And we just knew, like, you can love someone so much, but like you have to have like an editorial mind about you. Like, you know, it's tough to watch anyone. I don't care if it's your favorite musician or author, whomever, talk for that long. So we wanted it to feel streamlined and fast and funny, and we just, you know, the beautiful thing about his show is also the difficult thing in the sense that it's not stand-up, you know, it's not a traditional routine, it's kind of a humorous thing, but like he alternates between being there are stretches that aren't necessarily funny, they're just earnest and they're real, and I think that catches people off guard sometimes because they expect it to be stand-up, and so because of that expectation, we just wanted to make it as tight as possible so that people never really got lost or anything.
Did you, I know you said, I remember him being in Kings of Summer. Is that the first place you guys met, or had you known him?
Yeah, the comedy world in LA is a pretty small world at the end of the day, but we hadn't interacted until I was trying to get him to do Kings of Summer. And after that, we just kind of became fast friends. And you spend a month of your life in the woods of Ohio together, and if you don't bond after that, then something's wrong with you. So yeah, we just became friends because of the movie, and you know, him and Megan were both in it, and so they, you know, I'm a transplant in LA. I'm from Detroit, and him and Megan kind of adopted me to some degree, and I'm like their little kid that causes a bunch of problems, and they have to yell every once in a while. And so he just asked, like, this really was just shot on a whim. Like, he didn't want a company to pay for it. He didn't want like HBO or Comedy Central to come in and pay for it. He just wanted to shoot it because that's the type of guy Nick is. Nick just always wants to do things on his own terms. So he just came to me and said, let's do this thing on the cheap, and we put this together.
Well, and you were saying before that Nick was particularly Well, you tell them. They'd probably be happier to hear that than.
You know, Nick has roots here as well, and over the last 2 years between my movie and this, there's been all sorts of press things that I've either tried to get Nick to do or wanted him to do, and he just, you know, between being a loving husband, being on a TV show, being a movie star, and all these other things, he rarely can make it. And he's varying degrees of apologetic about that, but this was something that when I was like, hey, we're playing the Music Box, he was just bummed, so legitimately sad, because this is one of his favorite venues. You know, when he was just an actor, like a stage actor in Chicago, this was a place that he would come to all the time. So he was legitimately bummed that he couldn't be here beyond his roots to the city and the state, but this theater in particular holds a great deal of emotional weight for him. So I wish that he could be here with you, and he wishes he could be here too.
So what is next for you? Do you have anything on your plate yet?
Well, the day I get back in LA, I'm doing 3 episodes of this TV show for FX that I did the pilot for. And that's fun. And then just setting up the next couple movies. You know, Nick and I are talking about things, and movies just take, every movie's a miracle, as it turns out. Getting anything made in Los Angeles is very difficult. So I have like 5 to 10 different projects that are in various different stages. And when they're ready to go, they'll go. But in the meantime, I'm trying to sleep and get my life back.
Did you say what the FX show is called?
Yeah, the FX is called You're the Worst. It's seemingly semi-autobiographical. It's about 2 narcissists who fall in love, just 2 awful people, and how they maintain a relationship. So I think that also premieres in June. So June will be a big
Who's in
big
that?
month.
Who's in that?
It's just a bunch of comedians and people.
Okay.
Just no one like super famous. All incredible people though, and it's by a writer. This guy Stephen Falk, who wrote on Weeds and Orange Is the New Black and shows like that.
You know, it's interesting. Last time I saw you was in Austin at South by Southwest, and we did this panel with Ryan Coogler, who did Fruitvale Station, and Destin Creighton, who did Short Term 12, and it was a really interesting panel. I think people in the audience certainly seemed to dig it. It was about basically like once you have that, like if your first or second movie out of the gate kind of hits it and starts getting you noticed, what do you do? What do you do? Like, how do you not go crazy? How do you not sell out immediately? How do you maintain some integrity as you're being passed along and your name and your body is being passed around to these different, TV and so what was your path after Kings of Summer kind of got noticed, and what have you done to sort of keep a level head about what comes next?
Oh, I've let it all go. I do cocaine every day. The panel, which it's like the guys from Short Term 12 and Fruitvale Station, which if you haven't seen, please go see those movies because they're incredible, incredible pieces. And we wanted to do that panel there because the biggest thing for all of us was just figuring out emotionally how to traverse all of this. Because when you're making movies, the first thing everyone focuses so much on getting your movie made. And then and how you cast it, how you find financing, all of that. Like all of film school, all of that hustle focuses on the before and none of it focuses on the after. And the after is a really emotionally bizarre minefield. And so it was this really weird thing that he did a brilliant job hosting. And it was us trying to say, I know this sounds like champagne problems, but like this is emotionally affecting all of us in this idea that like at one point our dream was just to make films. We just wanted to make movies, and then me and those other guys, you find yourself suddenly being like too stressed out with what's going on and trying to not make a mistake that it's hard to enjoy yourself. And so the way that we found catharsis was just through each other and through like-minded people all sort of navigating that together. And so for me, I think the guiding process was like, this was something where Nick and I just have a close relationship, and my movie was a movie that when I read that script, I viscerally was like, I need to do this. Not I want to, not I could, not I should, but I need to. And so, I've gotten offered all sorts of crazy movies, and a movie effectively is like 2 years of my life. And I'm just of the school that I believe that like directors only have so much soul to give. You only have so much in the tank. Occasionally there are those geniuses that can go forever, but like generally a director sputters out, like Tarantino's like, I'm gonna call it quits when I'm 60. Like he has that sense about him. Whether he holds true to that or does a Soderbergh and, says he's gonna retire and then doesn't, who knows? But I just try and use like a guiding principle to be like, do I need to tell this story? You can't treat it as a paycheck, you can't treat it as anything else. Like, it has to be something that viscerally and innate within you emotionally, you like have to do it. So that's what I've tried to sort of guide myself with. I think that he, like I said, he really was never doing this prior to colleges because his TV show character became so popular. He realized that there was certainly a market for people who wanted to see him speak. And so he legitimately, like, as you can see, like, he's a very thoughtful, introspective, funny, like, kind person. So he sort of put this show together, and it did really well. He went all over with colleges, and we took this thing to Sundance, and I think that he wants to do more stuff like this. I think he's starting to put together sort of a follow-up show, a sequel or a continuation of it. Whether we continue sort of shooting these as a series, who knows? But it was a really mom and pop process for us, and it really was just like, you know, that credits list at the end is like 17,000 times shorter than a traditional credits list on a movie. You know, like, it really was a handful of people loving this thing and just trying to get it through. So I think Nick really, he's just a storyteller. He's just a smart guy. So I think he wants to do more stuff like this. And, you know, he wrote a book called Paddle Your Own Canoe, which I believe is out in bookstores now, that I think taps on some similar themes and ideas. You know, I think he just wants to get the way of the mustache out there. So, yeah.
Which of his tips is your favorite?
Oh, God. Use intoxicants. Yeah. I mean, I love this. This is a ton of fun. But this, I'm not really, you know, those little interstitials were the few moments that I could, like, flex a muscle in this. You know, like, in the meantime, it was trying to figure out a way to shoot someone on a stage for 80 minutes and have it feel somewhat inventive and not get tiring, and pick some non-traditional camera angles and have it feel a bit more raw in like a 70s concert film kind of way. So for me, yeah, doing a full feature is way more creatively fulfilling than shooting a stage show. But, like, you know, I just love collaborating with Nick, and, you know, all projects are different. But I think if you don't learn something on any project, then I failed. You know, I think that whether it's a commercial or something like this, like, if I didn't learn something from it, then that's just me being complacent. And so there's definitely stuff that I learned on this, you know, whether it's like super technical stuff, being like, you know what, I actually don't like the way that camera angle works at that focal length, or it should be slightly offset or whatever, to simple things with the color grade, you know, and yeah, so hopefully you're always learning. Visually, we wanted to keep it very, very simple. You know, we didn't want to build the idea was to roughly be able to go into the Town Hall Theater and shoot it as is. Granted, we supplemented the lights quite a bit, and I've just learned enough from doing various live shows that, like, you know, if you have someone on stage, you want, like, you know, par cans to the sides that are at a low voltage so that they can just break up the space. And there was a lot of, like, lighting things that we did, but beyond throwing that rug down on the middle of the floor, and lighting I like to light live shows a little more high contrast than people would on, like, an HBO thing or a Comedy Central thing. Those are very flat and boring to me. But we specifically didn't want to, like, build a backdrop or anything like that, so we just used the curtain that was at Town Hall. And then the creativity in that more so came from the camera angles, using a lot of, like, tight shots that are sort of profile or, like, directly behind the back shots, or just seeing focal lengths and cuts that you wouldn't normally see. In the edit, Offerman was involved. You know, he's a super busy guy, but he also sort of brought me on to trust my instincts on stuff like that. So we would sit down and watch cuts and talk about it. But it was generally more about, I was actually really nervous at first, because I really cranked up as it went on, I got crazier and crazier with, like, the non-traditional, like, shaky cam. There's, like, shots in it where, like, the camera loses its focus, or, like, it points down to the floor. And I was a little nervous that he was going to hate that stuff, but, you know, we were more focused on, I think, the content and the material than we were, like, cut to cut to cut. Megan hit Nick. God, I mean, beyond, like, their daily life. In that moment, we were on the side of a highway, so people were, like, driving by and seeing both of them and being like, "Ah, Ron Swanson," as I'm trying to get her to hit him with a stake. And probably like 10 or 15 times, but the last one that you're looking at is the last one that they did, because At first I was trying to get Megan to look at the camera and hit him, and so she was kind of holding back, and she never really connected. And then that last one, as soon as she hit him, me and my DP just turned to each other and made her, like the noise that it made was so gross and horrific, and you could just like, you could feel every part of it just like suctioned in the right way just to slap him. Like you just knew how badly it felt. It was one of the first times that I feel like I've seen Nick in pain, where he like tried to play it off, but Megan clocked him real good on that one, so. Yeah.
I should have mentioned a bit in the intro that at our festival last year, Jordan was kind enough to give us Kings of Summer, you know, based on nothing but faith that we were asking to see, and we liked it. And so he was one of the, like, this is the first filmmaker, the only filmmaker that we had both years. So make something quick. We'll get you next year. Yeah, thanks for coming, man.
Thank you for having me. Please keep supporting this theater and festivals like this, because I always kind of say this at the end, but like, people don't realize that like, you guys showing up to a theater like this, or for any indie, like actually makes a big difference in that space. Like, we're not Transformers. And so all of your, like, you guys showing your support actually makes a difference. So thank you guys for coming out.